Alright, came out tonight, took some night shots and some long exposures and kind of play about with whatever we can get. There's a big sculpture here that the plan was to come down and take some photos of. But I didn't realise that it wasn't actually lit up at night. I thought there was like lights under it, so you can't even see it. But we'll see if we can get something. Get the tripod and stuff set up in a bit. And see over the Belfast Lough over there. It's pretty cool, especially with the reflections. That'll be a nice couple of shots. Very quiet. I suppose it is 10 o'clock, so I would far rather be at home with a cup of tea and a biscuit. But, you know, actually really loving this reflection shot over here. So I'm out with the 85mm 1.8. So it's probably one of my better low light lenses. Okay, so we're set up here with this view across Belfast Lough up to the harbour, which is looking pretty cool. So we've got 4-second exposure, f8 and 400 ISO. And basically that's going to open the shutter for 4 seconds, let as much light in as possible, and then close it. I mean, that's the initial straight out of camera look. So okay, so we're going to try it again at 10-second exposure with ISO 100, just to see if we get our colours coming through more, because there's a lot of colours out there. It's pretty class looking. So you can already see that reflection on the screen. So we just have to hope that what we got out of camera actually looks pretty sweet. So and that is our on-camera view right now. Now it is not as overblown as that actually comes across on the screen that I'm looking at. That's quite drastic. That's getting closer there, but that colour coming through on the water is exactly what we're looking for. So what we'll do now is we'll flip the camera around towards the road and take some shots there and try and get some of this sculpture in. I'm hoping that with a long exposure with the shutter open for a while, I'll get a good bit of light and actually get that lit up a tiny bit, even off some of the street lights. It's quite shapeful, is that a word? So there's plenty to kind of cause light and shadows and stuff on it, so I'm hoping to get something nice on it, but let's have a play and find out. So I don't know if I have enough room to space myself in for the 85mm on this. Wow, I hope I can pull this light out a bit better when I get the editing. This is not good, so I'm gonna really busy for people down here. There's like 7 or 8 people now I bumped into, and it's probably coming up to 11 o'clock now. So, and a boy running at this time of night, madness. One other thing is, you'll not be able to see it on this camera, but the sky is incredible. Long exposures are a must if you want to be taking photos of the stars and astrophotography and stuff. But anyway, I couldn't resist myself. I had to take one more photo. Yeah, getting a bit cold. Going to walk up back home, and we'll have a look at some of the photos later. Just look at that. That's class. Right outside your house. Love it. Anyway, chat in a bit. Okay, so night trip was mostly successful. Went out. Footage is a bit grainy. I'll know better for next time to use a bit better lighting. And the audio, at least I picked up some audio this time, which is an improvement on the last few times that I've come out where we got zero audio. The mic was picking up more cars than I remember actually seeing on the road, but the main essence was we were going out for long exposures. I didn't get the tail and the light trails from the cars because I got too distracted by the reflections on the water across Belfast Lough towards the harbour. They actually came out really, really well. I'm quite pleased with how they look, and I will most certainly be printing them out. So basically long exposures, The aim of the game is keep your shutter open for as long as possible to capture as much light as possible. So the first image I'm going to bring up here is a 4-second exposure, which means the shutter was open for 4 seconds, capturing light for 4 seconds, and then stopping. So whenever we look at the picture, I will bring that up now. Okay, so this is the first one. We've got a 4-second exposure, so 4 seconds of light being captured by the camera. F8 and 85mm and ISO 400. So we're letting a good amount of light in, and with the 4-second exposure, you can see we're still getting good ripple texture on this, on the water itself. We're still picking out a lot of the colors, and we're getting a little bit grainy as we go further away, mostly because it's dark, so that's kind of to be expected, but not hugely concerned by that. And then this was after a few, let me fire that up full screen, give it a wee second to load in. This was with a few little extra touches. So this is just basically trying to clear up some of that noise. Not a huge amount because I don't want to get rid of everything in there. But we've got the ripples, but just bringing out the color more on the water to kind of show off a bit more of what's happening there. So let's turn that off and go to the next one, which was a, oh, let's zoom out. We got a 20-second exposure at ISO 100, so letting more light come in. But if we flick between these two, you can see the 4-second at 400. So the ISO 400 is doing a lot of heavy lifting there and bringing some extra light. But if we zoom in here, we can still see some of the ripples even on the 20-second exposure. But it's because the light is bouncing off those ripples as it comes towards the camera and as it's being captured. And this is just with a few little adjustments. I'm gonna go hit F on that, go full screen. And yeah, so I think this has turned out really, really nice. These nice colors coming all through. All this is just that little bit crisper and clearer with that long exposure. And yeah, you can get some really, really nice effects by firing up a good bit of long exposure, letting in light. Because at the end of the day, when you're taking photos, what you're doing is you're capturing the light that's around. So we have, I don't know how this comparison will actually look. Oh, this never works for me. There we go. So we've got the 20-second exposure here on the left, and we've got a 4-second exposure on the right. If you have a favorite, stick it in the comments or whatever, or don't. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Do whatever you want. It'd be nice if you did. Long exposures, that's where the fun's at. I'll just show another couple of quick examples of some long exposures down at the water. Fired up, let it sit for a while. I think it's probably maybe 80 seconds for that one. Probably 30, just to kind of, it's just capturing everything and smooths out all of the water, kind of gives it that milky, smooth. But again, at the same time, you don't always want that. Sometimes you want to drop it down to a 10 so you can get some more of this textury kind of feeling, kind of swirling around and things like that. Long exposures, a lot of fun, get some really good effects out of it. Definitely worth taking the time to play about with. The longer you leave it open on your shutter, the less light you need to worry about with your ISO. So you can drop your ISO down to 100 and try and go from there, because the lower your ISO, people will argue and say the lower your ISO doesn't really matter anymore because you can still get smooth pictures out of 3200 ISO, and you can get all this great software that removes all of everything, and all you really need is just to make sure you take the photo, and that's grand. It's partly true, but also if you don't have to go in and remove all that noise, why would you bother? All right, so that's us. I will see you next Tuesday, and we'll have another video. If you want, leave a like, subscribe, comment something down below. I don't know if it helps the algorithm. I don't think the algorithm even sees channels as small as this. So we'll just keep plugging at it. Like I always say, keep consistent, keep doing what you're doing, get your camera and get out there and keep taking the photos. And I will see you next week.